Hello and welcome. Now, what would you say if I told you there is an 80s comedy horror movie that has a great cast, but I think probably many of you have never seen it or have forgotten about it? What if I told you this 80s movie had actors like Chevy Chase in, like Dan Aykroyd, Demi Moore, John Candy, Daniel Baldwin, Peter Aykroyd, Valerie Bloomfield, Brian Doyle Moyer, Tupac, yes, Tupac the rapper. It was even written and directed by Dan Aykroyd and his brother Peter. You'd be amazed, right? You'd be like, what movie has this cast in? Well, I'll tell you something. There was a movie made in the 80s with all these people and more. It was great. But it was a forgotten movie. It kind of fell between the gaps. Many people forgot about this movie and that it was ever made. So, you have any idea what movie I'm talking about with this cast? I guess not. Nothing But Trouble. Now, while this movie did come out in 91, I'm going to cheat a little bit here, okay? A, the script was written in the 80s. B, some of the pre-production was done in 89. And C, it's actually kind of based on a true story that Dan Aykroyd had happened to him in real life, where he was pulled over by a cop in this backwater place and was actually spent the night waiting for the judge to come in. So this is kind of based off a true story, and this happened to him in the early 80s. So, look, I know I'm cheating a little bit. So we have a couple of options here. Either A, get over it. B, stop watching. C, turn off. D, shut the hell up. But let's carry on, shall we? I must make a quick apology for this. My teleprompter kind of malfunctioned, so I'm going to be reading off a script today, so if my eyes go down, that's why. I know what's wrong with it, I can get it fixed, but for the next episode or two, if my eyes start wandering, that's probably why. So anyway, I'm just going to quickly go through that cast again. Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, Demi Moore, Daniel Baldwin, Peter Aykroyd, Valerie Bloomfield, Brian Doyle Murray, Tupac, and more. A lot of other big characters from the 80s that in this movie, which I love. One of those, they were never feature actors, but they always did really good in the smaller roles. It was written by Dan Aykroyd and his brother Peter, and this one was directed by Dan Aykroyd. Actually directed. So it's really interesting. What else can I say about this cast? What an effing amazing, damn smashing, midget fish-slapping, horny hellhound humping a duck of a cast. I mean, really. That would have been the dream team in the 80s. Add a couple of other actors and you would have had it all. But for some reason, this movie gets overlooked or forgotten. So let's talk about that a bit more later. Like I said, this is kind of based on what happened to Dan Aykroyd in real life. So the plot's quite simple, really. A group of four, which is Chevy Chase, Demi, and two others, go on a road trip. On the way, they decide to take a little detour through the back streets of this small county. The cop, played by John Candy, in one of two roles he plays in this movie actually, pull him over for speeding. And they take them to the local judge official who lives in this big creepy mansion. They have to spend the night there and survive the craziness that ensues. Again, not the most dramatic story, but come on. Look at the cast. I mean, just come on. Do you need a great story for something like this? It does. Okay, sometimes simple stories can be good. I went on a rant about this before. I'm not going to do it again. The thing that makes this movie is just how fun and funny the cast is. And the environment that they're trapped in. The house and the salvage yard that the house is laid in is just great. I mean, the house is huge. And it's an utter mess inside. You have parts and junk lying all over the place. I mean, this is a props people wet dream. I would have loved to work the props department on this movie. It would have been that cool because there's just so many small details in this movie that make it. It's, like I said, the story's not big, but it's just these small details. And, you should expect something like that from Dan Aykroyd. Okay, then we meet Dan Aykroyd himself, as you have never seen him before. But first, let's just get how he's actually introduced into the movie. So they're waiting in the chambers, and they hit this button, and all of a sudden, all the furniture and things turn around, kind of like an old speakeasy from Chicago. They hit the button, oh no, the police is here, nothing there, officer. Look, we're just having a fine soda. That's what we're doing. And then all of a sudden, this like scratchy vinyl starts playing this marching band music, and this chair just pops up, and in it is Chevy Chase, but you can't see his face yet because it's so covered with books and papers and just other things on the desk. And then all of a sudden, he knocks the papers off, and you reveal, Dan Aykroyd, all costumed up, looking like a 180-year-old man. It is one of, if not the greatest intros to a character ever. I mean, just introducing a character in that way is just amazing. I know these days with all the superheroes and movies and stuff, they try to make a really spectacular entrance. Someone's jumping off a plane or landing on their knees, which got to hurt, by the way. But they're all the same. This introduction is so unique. It is just, I think it should be recorded for posterity's sake, for humanity in the future. Look, we could make good introduction to characters in movies. So like I said, one of my favorite things about this movie is the house. All the little secret passages and how the house manages to change a lot. It's really kind of like a deranged, demented, perverted version of Pee-wee's Playhouse. That's the closest thing I could see. Imagine if Pee-wee's Playhouse suddenly went dark and there's like skeletons in the closet. That's what it would have turned into. Also, for Christ's sake, the house has a fairground thing going on. It has its own ride called the Bone Stripper. And yep, it does what it says on the label. But I just remember being a kid and seeing this painted face of the creepy clown and the fire's inferno going up. And this creeped the living hell out of me when I was a kid. I was 10 years old. It was still creepy for me watching that for the first time. So anyway, as it said, it's the Bone Stripper. What happens, these people go in, they're screaming, and then all of a sudden, these completely polished white bones come shooting out, like shit out of a diabetic, and it hits this bullseye, and it even makes that like the carnival when you shoot the rubber ducky, you get a ding sound. It's like ba-ding, ding, ding. It's just craziness, but it works on such a good level. And another scene of the house that's just awesome. It is Looney Tunes. I'm not talking figuratively, I'm talking quite literally. At one point, there's this Acme-looking safe that looks like it's going to fall on their head and kill them. I wouldn't be surprised if Bugs frickin' Bunny had been killed there and designed the whole thing himself. But it's all about the house and how the props department created it, how the setting designs work together. This is a lot to do with Dan Aykroyd and his eye for detail. I'm going to get into more about that later, about other people's review of this movie and why they are wrong. I'm not going to say to each their own and have a taste. No, I'm saying these guys are flat out wrong. Wah, wah, wah. So, as they explore the house, this is, Demi Moore and Chevy Chase are together alone now. They discover all these secrets, and that this local police family that been there for hundreds of years have been killing people throughout all that time, and most of them being bankers. They find this room full of IDs and skeletons, including Jimmy Hoffa's, which I thought was a nice little touch there. It's so weird seeing John Candy in this movie for a couple of reasons. A, he plays, one of his roles, he plays more of the straight man in this instead of the loud, obnoxious one that he's used to playing before. His normal over the top. No, it's very subdued. He pulls off the straight man very, very well. But he does it in such a way, he's still hilarious. Like I said, that was his first role. However, he has 2 roles in this movie. And the other one is playing him, I guess, his first character's sister. So he's playing a man and the sister, the woman in this movie. And it's just this one scene especially when he's meant to marry Chevy Chase. Well, she's meant to marry Chevy Chase. And he's got this bridal dress on and he's walking down the stairs, and just the face pose and like the body pose that he does when he's walking. Every time I see this, it's like spit out the water laughter kind of funny. There's one prop in this movie that I've always really wanted, much like many stuff out of the Goonies that I've always really wanted, like the traps they have, or Data's coat. This one is this long dining room table, and the judge presses this button, and all of a sudden the outside, the rim of it kind of flips over, and it turns into a train model. So including like all the trees in the fake houses all pop up, and this train goes along with all the condiments in the train. So it's kind of like a Lazy Susan, but you can use the remote control for the train to bring you whatever you need. I've always wanted that, and I wish my table could do that. Maybe one day, when I have the time on my hands, and I have a big enough dining room table, I might try and convert it if I can. Honestly, after watching this, I really wish Dan Aykroyd directed more movies. I love seeing his warped mind come to life. For example, Demi comes across these 2 fat twins, and they really remind me of like Tweedledum and Tweedledee from Alice in Wonderland, mixed with the sloth from Goonies. It's just, they're not in it for much, but they're really fun to watch. And the names of them were also hilarious. Before there was rappers, before the Lil, and Lil Wayne and Lil X and Lil. These were the original OGs. So the names, one was called Bobo, okay? The other one was Little Deadpool. I mean, that really just sounds like a rapper's name. Yo, what up, G? I'm Little Deadpool. Represent Bullseye. I don't know. But it really does. And speaking of rappers, yes. Before I mention Tupac's in this, yes he is, along with the rest of the Digital Underground. They make an appearance and they play 2 songs in this movie, which is fantastic. If you don't know who the Digital Underground are, look them up. Great music. I've seen them live like 6 times and they never disappoint. I was actually there for Humpty's birthday and whoa, we got drunk. But yeah, this is where Tupac really got a lot of his career started off with as well, so that's kind of cool. I'm going to get you know who Tupac is, If you don't, look him up again. Now, it is a little bit out of place having them in this, but I guess Dan Aykroyd really wanted them in here because he just finished doing a show with Arsenio Hall, and they both wanted to promote Digital Underground at the time, so it was actually his choice that he really wanted them in this movie. So, there's a lot of critics that say they don't like this movie, it falls flat, it's short, it's crap. And I'm going to here say that, come on, you're just wrong. Okay, do we get the best performances out of all these actors? No. But we get a good enough performance out of all these legends. And just being able to see these legends together is just a treat to itself. One person wrote that, oh, well, the fight scene was bad. Well, and Dan Aykroyd should not have had this job because he doesn't know how to direct a fight scene. Well, A, it was a very short fight scene and it wasn't much. B, it's not the main focal points. This is not a kung fu freaking movie or an action freaking movie, thank you very much. And C, normally that's down to the choreographer and the actors. The director does have a hand in it, yes. But if the choreographer's trainer sucks and the actors can't get used to it, you're going to have a sucky fight scene no matter what the director does. So I feel people gave Dan Aykroyd and the rest of them a completely unjustified thumbs down for this movie. There's great moments, there's really funny parts. Yeah, there's some parts that, could have been better, but can you say that about any movie, that any movie is 100% perfect? No, and I'm including movies like The Godfather, which is damn close to a perfect movie, but there are faults in it. So I just feel that people maybe had too high expectations with the cast in this. They were expecting everybody to be there, the Ghostbuster eras, the SNL level, maybe they had a preconceived notion of what it should have been in terms of what Dan Aykroyd should have got out of the actors. But you know what? A lot of these actors have worked with Dan Aykroyd before. They respect the hell out of Dan Aykroyd, and they did give a good enough performance. Not to mention there were some budgetary issues, so you can't blame Dan Aykroyd for that. That was the production side of things, and I feel people miss the main point of this movie, and that's the thing. Yes, it's a comedy, and yes, it's meant to be kind of a comedy horror, but it's also looking at the warped mind of the Aykroyd brothers and what they brought to life. And there's a lot of technical aspects to this movie that I feel got overlooked. I've already mentioned, like, the setting area is fantastic, the props are simply amazing, even the lighting does good, the people who does the sculpture work for this movie was really cool, a lot of the artwork was really cool. So I say watch this movie twice. One, just watch it because, as a movie, for the comedy, for the actors, for everything else. Then watch it again and just try to see all these small things that you would have missed the first time. Because I've seen this movie many times, and there's still certain parts that I've never seen before, and it's like, oh, wow, that's in there. Like this random satanic book that's red that's in the bottom right-hand corner. Now, that was placed there on purpose, but it's so small that you're going to miss that the first time around. So, look, if you like these actors, and you like weird, and you like wacky houses, if you like seeing great settings and props, then watch this movie. Like I said, is it their best work? No. But they do a good enough job. There's still funny actors in this. The only thing I could add is, like, I wish it had Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, and Rick Moranis, and then we kind of have a Ghostbusters reunion. That would have been awesome. But they were all busy doing other things at the time. From what I understand, is Aykroyd did ask them to be in it, but they all had other projects and couldn't actually commit to it at the time. In the timetable, he wanted it finished in. But hands down, I love this movie. Is it one of my favorite movies? No. But is it something I feel just joy when I watch it every time? Absolutely. So again, now I'm gonna go because I got arrested, the police are after me, and I'm looking at a scary mansion. Uh-oh. It's nothing but trouble!